why goal setting is the biggest trap for most business owners and how they are doing it wrong. That's today's topic. As we're talking about today, we have a special guest on the podcast. Go ahead and let him introduce himself, and then we'll jump right into the podcast itself.
Hi, I'm Rami with Sunbird Visuals. Thank you for having me on.
All right, Rami. So since you are here and you're a special guest, I want to go ahead and ask you, starting up and opening this conversation here, what do you think is the downfall with goal setting for most business owners? And I'm not even talking about New Year's resolutions, just goal setting in general whenever it comes to a business owner or just somebody who's an entrepreneur.
I think what ends up happening is that they set goals that are perhaps too ambitious. And so if they don't meet those goals, the morale of the owner and, if they have any employees, like the company's morale goes down. And when morale goes down, productivity suffers, consistency suffers. And I think that that is probably the most common issue is what I would assume.
Gotcha. And I think a lot of people, and at least in the way that I perceive it, I think they mistake visionary or the vision with the goal. So they tie the vision to what needs to get accomplished in a step-by-step. And I think goals are more like a process on how to get to the vision versus the vision itself. And the vision might change, but the goals in order to get there can stay the same. Vic, what do you think about that?
I'm aligned with you on that. The process is kind of what I like to talk about. I think that people focus on the end result. They don't focus enough on those process. And for us, we always track. So we track numbers, we track daily habits, we track marketing strategies, we track accountability, right? We have accountability systems and structures in place. So there's a lot of things that we do in our day-to-day business that ensure success, right? We know that at your average job, your 9 to 5, a lot of reasons why you have success there is because you show up every day consistently, no matter what. Right, whether you want to, whether you're in the high spirits or low spirits, whether you're feeling good physically, you're ill, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you even show up there, when you're not supposed to because you can't take a day off. So that consistency counts for something. Business owners like that consistency, that showing up every day. It's very easy to kind of get away and get drawn in a million different directions because ultimately you wear 10 different hats in a day. So you're well within your right to do whatever you're doing in that day. But should you be doing those things is another question. So I think the process is super important. I think that, a goal without a system, it's kind of just a wish, right? It's just something.
Yeah. It's a dream.
Yeah.
A dream.
Yeah.
I'm very on the process. Same thing, we like to focus on the execution. Right. So we don't just kind of set goals and walk away and hope for the best. We focus on the execution and the momentum. Right. So instead of saying we want to grow to and this is something, personal. Right. So instead of saying, hey, I want to grow to 100 agents and I'm just going to say that, we're tracking systems and setting things in place to get to those numbers. Right. Strategic markers to know where we're going. When we started growing the company, I had specific metrics that I knew I was going to hit on the way and struggles that I knew that I was going to have to overcome to get to that next level. And I will say that I had no knowledge of it. This was just what I was anticipating having these issues based on growth, right? And all my anticipation and all my preparation for that moment when we came in, we were able to execute because I was already prepared for those moments. So every day, the work that we did every day, the planning we did every day, it all comes into effect. And I think that's where a lot of people lack is the execution of it and the momentum, right? Momentum's super important. You got to keep that momentum going. You got to execute.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Nate?
I think that, well, actually, I want to ask that question, right? Because I get mixed reviews, but I mean, a lot of the coaches, a lot of the Instagram influencers, a lot of people, they're always big on manifesting what you want, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we had this conversation a few podcasts ago about, vision boards and putting all these things together. And we also touched on that, right? This is a vision board. It's not going to happen just because you put it up there. I mean, you have to work towards it. But how do you guys think that there's a lot of misleading in the social media, I guess community?
Absolutely.
About what?
You think there's a lot of misleading in the social media community that they think that if you want it bad enough, you'll get it?
I think there's an overemphasis on that. I think like the vision board things, I've seen them pop up on almost every brokerage and every person is posting vision boards. I'm personally not a vision board guy. I agree with Victor, having the end goal or the vision, and then setting a system up to reach those like small milestones along the way towards that goal is the way to go. But I feel like social media does kind of glamorize like the whole, manifesting, which I do think does play a part into like, being motivated to set up those systems. But if you're not setting up those systems and you're just writing the vision, putting it down and hoping for the best, it's not going to happen. And yeah, I think social media does glamorize that a little too much.
I think that there's nothing wrong with the show, right? With social media. I think the fact is that when you buy into that and you look at that and you think that that's all they're doing, then that's when you fail. I would say if you personally don't know someone and all you're doing is looking at their social media and you think that that's all they're doing to be successful, then you deserve to fail, because that's very narrow-minded to think that they're posting all their losses online, right? And right. Honestly, right. The losses aren't to be shared online. It doesn't matter. If that's what you're going for and you want to show somebody the hard life and the struggle and the ups and downs of businesses, and that is your persona, and you're willing to share that, then great, cool. But if you're following somebody that's just sharing a bunch of wins, that that they're trying to push a narrative that success is easy to them and business is easy to them and everything's easy. And I think any business owner knows that it is not easy and you're going to take some losses whether you want to or not. Yeah. So it's inevitable. It's inevitable because you can't control every part of your business. You have to depend on people and they may fail you. And it doesn't mean that your systems are wrong or that the company's wrong or that they're wrong. It could just be a mess up and no one is perfect, right? Yeah. So if no one ever shares a loss, then not that I don't trust you, but I just know that you're going after something different than what I'm going for, right? We want to be authentic. We want to push those, but I think something that, and I like to give credit for all my people around me and things like that. Something that Jovani taught me kind of early in his career, and I fought with him a lot. But, he did provide a lot of insight into building systems and automating a lot of different things. And I think it is important to automate some of the daily tasks that don't require you to be hands-on all the time. Some of the tracking, some of the lead flow. As AI has come into the picture over the last couple of years really strong, we talked about how our connectors on our back end, some of those, as you fill up a lead through the landing page, how it comes to the Excel sheet, how it goes to our Teams chat, how it gets pushed through different connectors. Those systems are so much better now that we've set those up for me than me manually getting that information, having to break down between three different people. It just gets done automatically. So there are some things that you can automate. There are some things that you can use to improve your system, but everything still needs that personal touch and personal guidance and personal oversight. So I think that's where people fail.
I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but I just wanted to talk about, if you remember, whenever when the iBroker came out, right? Whenever they started with this whole thing that you don't need a realtor, you could just get online and do this and do that. And that, that's proof of, how they would say proof of concept. That's proof of that you need a realtor. You need somebody to help you sell that home. You can't just get online and pick a house and walk it yourself and contract online. And these companies are going out of business. These companies overextended themselves. And I talked about this. I didn't have we weren't on a podcast back then, but I said it from the rooftops, and I would tell people, there was, oh, you're obsolete. You're going out of business. Your industry is gonna fail. And I think we even had some some realtors that were also with the whole, they just wanted to automate everything. And it's like, hey, look, automation is good, AI is good, but at the end of the day, there still needs to be that personal touch.
Human
interaction, yes.
Well, at the end of the day, AI is just a tool, and you have to have a human using that tool at the end of the day. That's really all it is, yeah.
And I think one thing that a lot of people do miss whenever they're setting up their goals is understanding who you are and what part you play within your business or within your business plan. A lot of times people either think they can do everything or they want to hire out too soon. And it's like, and if you're not ready for that next leap yet to hire somebody out because you don't understand the steps, then you don't understand how to teach them. Or they're going to get away with doing certain things that they shouldn't be doing because you don't know the job. Vice versa, if you're trying to do everything yourself, well, then it's going to, bog you down. Even with AI or other systems that you have in place, you're going to come to a point where it's time to grow. And I think one of my favorite quotes from Ryan Serhant is, he said that he stopped being a manager because he realized he was a crappy manager and he was a better salesperson. So he hired managers for his company. So he could do what he's good at.
Yeah.
So that's always been like one of my favorite things, realizing who you are in your business, realizing your position, and doing that, executing it as good as you can.
For us, and to follow up on your point, one of the things that I struggled with early in the business was wanting to hire people for that same reason. I didn't know where I needed help or how I needed help. And I will say that kind of really focusing on the process on how we completed some of these tasks and goals really helped me out. Now I know exactly who I need and where I need them, and plugging the right people into the right places. To push on that is that, yes, you need to know where you're going, right? So your goal is your destination, right? But the work that you do every day is going to be how you accomplish that. That's why Nate and I were saying, full transparency, we will be dropping a vision board video.
That's what I was going to say. Remy's going to make fun of us.
We did do a vision board, but we also made fun of our realtors while they were trying to set it up.
We were in here making fun of our realtors while they were doing vision boards. But the thing is that Rami has made a lot of real estate. We talked about this earlier. He's made a lot of real estate companies really popular with his media.
Yeah.
And I'm you said, yeah, there's these realtors doing these vision boards. Bro, you're like the direct reason that all these people started doing these vision boards. Because
I seen you at like 3 vision board parties.
I seen you like at 3 of them, bro. You did like a vision board with somebody and it looked great, and everybody's like, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's do it. So it's your media that's been pushing that. You're kind of an industry leader, bro. Maybe you should come up with something like really different, and see how that goes, right? Because vision boards, they're not it.
We're gonna find a way to innovate on the vision board.
Yeah.
It needs to be a vision board, and then on top of that, a spreadsheet that says actionable steps.
Yes, I agree. I'm down with
action
that.
board.
Action board. I like that. I like that.
That's good.
We'll punch out every time you do it. We'll punch out one.
No, it's important, and it's important to take action on those goals. That was our beef with the vision boards. We say that it gives you that euphoric feeling of completion. You get all the positives of the goal by doing a vision board. You cut it out. You make it look pretty. You put it on there. You feel like, yeah, I did it. Yes, I'm going to get that. Yeah. But there's no true plan to get those things. So why even put that on your vision board? And I was just telling Nate this the other day. We were interviewing a candidate for a position that we're looking to hire on. And the lady, we were talking. I told Nate, I was like, man, I think they want to like shoot for the stars and land on the moon. And I was like, and I'm not looking to do that. Like, I'm not looking to shoot so high and land somewhere else, like set myself up for failure already. Yeah. Like, I'm already preparing myself. Like, hey, I'm gonna shoot for as high as I can, but I already know I'm gonna land here. Yeah. I've never been that type of person. I've always been like, I'm gonna shoot for this, and that's what I want to hit. Yeah. And I don't want to shoot too high, and I definitely don't want to shoot too low. I just want to be consistent on where I'm going and know exactly where I'm going to accomplish that goal. And that has helped me out a lot in my life. I feel like my goals are really lofty when I was younger. And then, I thankfully got to accomplish them. And for a while, just trying to decide if I was ready to go to that next level personally. And it's all tough. I was telling Nate about this the other day. I told Nate that I struggled with greed. And that wasn't I don't know if I worded that right, because I was telling him I struggle with, not with greed, like that I'm a greedy person. I struggle with, like, am I wanting too much? Should I scale that back down? Because I'm pretty content. I'm pretty happy with what I have in my life. Could I have more? Yes. Should I do more? Yes. Everybody could use it. Everybody wants more. But should I let those feelings come into it when we're doing pretty great?
You were comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah. And that's what we're talking about, was contentment and things like that. So just to be clear, I wasn't comfortable. I'm still maxing out my credit cards. So.
He was comfortable at the time. I literally made a whole neon sign for him that said, "Your comfort zone will kill you." And he didn't heed to it until after he was too comfortable and almost died.
Yeah.
Almost died.
Yeah. In our career.
In the career. Oh, yeah.
I almost died.
No, but that is super important to consider. I tell Nate all the time, and we've said it, throughout this podcast over and over. Coming from where we came from, I never expected to be where I'm at today, right? Yeah. So at what point do we decide that, I should be pretty happy, and
And that's the tough part. Whenever you come from humble beginnings, right?
Yes.
The tough part is like, where do you stop? Where
Right.
do you're like, all right, like, and I always, I'm not big into rap, right? But there's, my kids and, Vick and Jovani, they all listen to music and they like the Drake guy, right? And Drake said, if I was doing this for you, I'd have nothing left to prove,
Yeah.
And it's like, me and Vick look at within our own family, right? And within our peers, it's like, bro, I'm done. Like, there's nothing like, if I told somebody I'm gonna buy a plane tomorrow, they wouldn't even
question it.
They wouldn't even question
Yeah.
it. They'd be like, "Oh, dang,"
Yeah.
Like, and so it just gets to that point. It's like, because when you start off, sometimes, like you said earlier, we were talking, we said, I started my business out of spite, right? You said, and it's like I started my business out of spite too, and it's like after a while that steam runs out. Proving people wrong and proving that you can do these things, it runs out and it has to turn into something. And that's one of the biggest things that Vic always tries to teach is what's your why? And if your why is spite, then it's not enough.
It's not. It's definitely not.
Yeah. So that's where we're at right now. It's the crossroads that you hit at some point. You're like, hey, I have enough to sit back and enjoy my family, and that's the crossroads that Vic was hitting,
Yeah.
And and I'm like, hey, I'm at the crossroads. I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that my family keeps going on and that Lionsgate Realty lives on for generations. So it's just a daily battle. I'm battling myself now, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I will say that I did enjoy those 5 years with my boys. I had a great time. I would have preferred to enjoy them in Mexico City like my plan was, but I enjoyed them in good old Spring, Texas, and it was just as fun. It was a good time. It was a good time in my life, and like I said, now you see the family grow, and you get into those positions where now I want more for them, and I want more for the future, and now it's not just for me. Selfishly, it was all for me before my kids, right? And then. So I had to accomplish everything I needed to, but now I gotta make sure that I'm ready for their goals and their dreams and the things coming our way, and our family is growing, through weird, little flower bouquets and things like that. Our family grows, and it's a beautiful thing, So
Yeah, and I do think that's something important to consider, right? Because like some of us here, for example, myself, I don't have a family, but sometimes like. You do want more for your realtor, so that fire gets under you, and you're like, man, I see the potential in this person. I want to help them. I want to be able to take them to the next level, and that's something that I'm working on within myself. Before it was like, okay, well, this person doesn't want it, I'll let them fail, which I'll let them fail still if they don't do what they're told, right? But I'm still, trying to figure out how to get them to reach those goals that they want to accomplish.
And I did want to touch on that, Jovani, because I think you've said it a couple times that that you were like, hey, Vic, didn't let me fail, or like worked hard and things like that. I think the only person that can really attest to that I do let people fail, and I let them fall on their own all the time. I let them fail when they don't listen to me and they don't do things the way that I want things done, because I know they're going in the wrong direction, and I'm not going to waste my time pulling them in a different direction. I'm going to get exhausted, I'm going to get drained, and I'm going to drown, right?
Yeah. We
talk about this is sayings that I'm going to butcher, part 349 is you gotta save your, if we're all in a life raft, right? I gotta save myself before I can save anybody else. And if I'm pulling you in a different direction than you're pulling me, we're both gonna get tired out. We're probably both gonna get stranded out there. So I need to keep going down my path, and either you follow me or you don't. And if you don't, then that's not me. I gave you an opportunity, so I let people fail as well, and I want to let them fail. But back to what you're saying is that by the time I get to that point with them, I'm already so invested into them. I'm not going to let them fail. At some point, I'm going to cut the rope and bring them around and say, nah, bro, you gotta do it this way. I'm already tired of you.
Yeah. And I think there's a perfect example for that, right? Like whenever somebody's drowning, especially if they don't know how to swim, the first thing they tell you is if they're coming towards you, whenever you're trying to go help them, is you knock them out.
Yeah.
And then, so you got to defeat them or let them defeat themselves. And the moment that they hit rock bottom, that's when they're defeated. That's when they'll listen. So that's when you go in it and save them.
Yeah.
In between there, sometimes you can't go in there and mess with them too much because they're going to drag you down. They're going to drown you with them. You know? So you got to either knock them out or they're going to defeat themselves. Then you can go in and save them.
So now that we're on analogies, even whenever you're in an airplane, right? Even Spirit Airlines, right? They say if you have a kid, don't put the mask on your kid. Put the mask on yourself first.
Yeah.
because you can't save your baby or your toddler that's sitting on your lap if you're passed out too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is that, if your toddler's old enough to understand, or your whoever's with you is old enough to understand, and sees you putting on the mask first and gives you that look of like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're not gonna help me, you know? And that feeling, right?
No, man up.
That feeling. Sometimes you don't want that feeling, right? You don't want to. You're like, man, I just had a big closing because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You didn't do what you're supposed to do, and now you're over here. You need to make money, and you're looking at me like I'm doing something to you, like I'm taking money off of your plate, like I'm not helping you, and so that's not it.
Yeah.
The thing is that you're not paying attention.
Oh, you know what I just realized? I just realized that these teams, right? The person who's leading the team, that's what they're doing. Their team members are helping them with their lifestyle so they can save themselves. Then they can go and save their team member. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, no, you need to save yourself
Am
first.
I doing it wrong?
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong. You gave everybody else the face mask when you were supposed to be having the face mask and popping bottles and being rich, and not your realtors.
Not the realtor. Oh, okay. Well, Flor, I want 70% of that commission over there. You got covered next month.
I do say this to my managers all the time, and this message is to all managers out there. You selfishly have to take care of yourself, because most of the time this is just a job to people and they don't care about it enough. They really need to give you that time. They really need to put in some work, and things need to change in their day to day before you really start giving them your all. It's super important to work on those goals and make sure that you stay on track there. But I lost my train of thought there because Nate me está haciendo ojitos.
No, dude, I have something in my eye.
So, Remy, actually, am I saying it right?
Rami.
So, I'm interested in the story about you that you said earlier, right? That you did it out of spite. Can you go ahead and tell us? 'Cause I didn't hear it, so I would like to hear it.
That story, it's a little bit out of context. I got into
Nate's favorite.
That's my favorite.
So
that's what we do here.
I did photography for a long time. I was doing automotive photography like when I was a teenager. And then I kind of like took a step back for a little while and started pursuing other things. One day I went to a photographer to get some family photos done. And I had a wonderful experience with her the first 2 times I went to her. And then the third time we took the photos and like I'm about to pay her. And then last second she's like, hey, you got to pay an extra $500 to get prints. And I was like, what? Like you didn't even tell me that up front or nothing. And I got really upset. And usually I'm pretty calm and I'm not the vengeful type. I'm not the spiteful kind of guy, but I got upset and I was like, look, I'm not paying that. And I would prefer if you give me the raw files, I'll teach myself how to edit them, And that's not usually something you want to tell a photographer, but like I was so upset and I wanted to salvage the situation. So we agreed. She gave me the files and I literally taught myself how to edit those portraits, like just out of spite, because I was just so mad about her, the way she treated me. And I got good at it. I was like, man, you know what? These photos look really good after I started messing with them. Fast forward several years later, I started doing, I had a hospitality marketing company and I did social media management. I did the videos, photos, graphic design, branding, logos. I did all of that stuff for years. And I saw that there was, I was telling Nate the story of how when I first bought my house in 2017, that I went through a bunch of houses, like listings, and they all had like the ones that I always went to go view, like a visit tour. They all had the best pictures. Like I love the photos, and I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back, I would always choose the ones that had the best photos. But none of them were the house that I wanted. I got desperate after 2-3 months, and the house that I did end up buying ended up having the worst photos. It was the last on my list, and I was really like not even wanting to go look at it, but I was desperate. Sure enough, I go over there. Walked in, fell in love, bought it, managed to get a nice discount because it was on the market for so long, because the photos were so bad. And I thought about that, last year, late 2023. And I was like, you know what? I would occasionally go on HAR and I'd be like, a lot of these photos still don't look really good. I'd go on Instagram and like look at different realtors' pages and see what they were putting out. And I'm like, man, like their content is not, it's not engaging. A lot of them keep saying hello, like welcome to this address, and just very boring like hooks. And I was like, there's got to be something better, you know, that can be done here, that can help realtors, that can help not just realtors, but buyers finding a home. You know, if they had good pictures, they probably would have found that home sooner. Help sellers sell their house and make more money off of it. So I was like, it looks like there's an opening here. And the aha moment for me was when I started asking realtors myself. I'm like, if you're shooting content with someone, what's your biggest complaint? Like with working with a videographer or a photographer. And the number one complaint was, oh, they charge me all this money to put a camera on my face and tell me to talk. And I'm like, they tell you to talk? And they're like, yeah, they don't help me out. Like, they don't help me get comfortable on camera. They don't give me a script. They don't give me hooks, nothing. And I was like, really? Because in my industry, being a hospitality marketer, we were automatically like expected, like, you got to come up with a hook, come up with a script, come up with ideas. And I was like, is this a common thing? And sure enough, everyone that I asked, like, yeah, this is very common in this industry. So I just stepped in. I had the experience. I know how to come up with hooks and scripts and to help get people comfortable on camera. And that's how I got started.
Let me put you on the spot right now. Sure. Create a hook right now for your clip.
I mean,
go.
Okay. Let me see.
Rami.
Real estate. Why setting goals helped. Sorry.
Where's the button? Boom, boom, boom.
I got it wrong. It's not something. It's really, to be honest with you, it's not something that I come up. It's not something that I can come up with on the spot. I do a lot of research.
Hey, there we go.
You know what?
I respect that.
You know what?
I'm a lyricist. I'm not a freestyler.
I'm not a freestyler. I'm a lyricist.
Yes, exactly. Don't mess with my guy Rami, bro. There's some tacky realtors out there that he makes them look good, man.
Hey, bro, I'm
telling you, bro.
You let your boy die on the vine, dog. I wouldn't even let my boy answer.
I'm backing him now, bro.
A sunbird among lions.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, I think we talked about that in our training. We're talking. We did a SWOT analysis training, and then to follow that up, we did a unique value proposition. And one of the number one things that I teach my agents are to look at the market for gaps where you can fill in, where people are failing and struggling, and you can identify an opportunity for you to advance. And I do that in our real estate career. Real estate is tough. When I was younger in this business, I felt like it was such an older person game. The older agents had all the business. They had everything on lock. They were so professional, had their listing presentations down, their company wrapped cars. Everything was just like so in line. Everything looked great. And now I feel like it was a lot younger, and it's also right. I'm getting older. So now that purchasing, power between the 20 to 35-year-olds, they're buying, right? And I've seen the change in the industry. I've seen a lot of younger people get into the business. Before there was a lot of older people. Now there's a lot of younger agents, a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So, and then there's a lot of younger people buying as well. Yeah. So it's really important to understand the changes happening in a market. And every time there's a change, there's always an opportunity for you to jump in and take, control of the market. And that's definitely what we're doing here at our company. As far as Landscape Realty, when we're looking at where other companies are dropping the ball as far as their recruiting, training, growth strategies, tactics, all those things, we're watching constant failure, constant lying, right? Mm-hmm. And I say lying because maybe you had all the right intentions, maybe you meant to do the right thing, but when you continuously tell somebody something and it never changes, you're probably lying at some point. Mm-hmm. You're not going to do it. Nothing's not going to change, and it's your hope, and you're, you keep doing those things. So I think that what you hit on was super important. It's if you see something and you see that there's a change, you see there's a gap for an improvement. That's a weakness in the market, right? Yeah. And that weakness could be your strength, right? You make yourself and you fill that void and you create that authority there. And now people use you. So I respect you a lot for that, for seeing something in there and wanting to jump in and make a change, right? It takes a lot.
There's a reason that we have our own in-house, media company, and we've invited you to this podcast.
I appreciate that. And that means a lot to me.
We respect what you're doing.
Yeah. And just to double down on what Vic was saying right now, right, is finding that gap, in which you can talk about the gap that you found within your industry there. I noticed a gap within the rental market and why people hate dealing with renters. And it's always everybody that always talks to a realtor that talks to why I hate dealing with renters, because they're so flighty, right? They talk to one realtor and talk to 100 realtors. So I sat down 4 of my realtors who deal with who had a lot of people reaching out to them for rentals, and we had a training on it. And I told them, treat them exactly like a buyer. Whatever we take them through the buyer process, I want you to do that with a renter. And I did a whole like role play session with them. And yesterday we had one of our realtors here, William, during our meeting. That dude spent 45 minutes to almost an hour on a Zoom call with a renter. And he locked them in for something that most people don't even get in on a rental, which was pretty nuts. And I was super proud of him.
Yeah.
But that's because it's like whenever you find that gap,
Well, I think you should share that victory because it's important.
Yeah.
What did he lock in?
he locked it in for 100%, no matter what the landlord was paying.
Yeah.
He's going to get 100%. And most realtors, sometimes they don't even get 25% on a rental.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we locked them in for 100.
So what that means is that we're getting paid the same as first month's rent, the full freight. So if the owner's only paying 50% as a referral fee, the renter, the tenant, feels so well represented by William. He's willing to pay him his full commission. And I think that those are important. Those are the things that we teach here to make sure that you treat everybody with that same respect. I started in leases. I would take everybody's leases when I was really young in the business, and when I need $1, I jump in on the lease train because I could get paid within a week or two. And it's a great business, and I think that's where I've excelled as well. I never treated people differently for what they could afford. I was just always happy that they were willing to use me to conduct their real estate transactions. So super important.
I think that's great because whenever I first bought my house, I didn't have a lot of money. It was my first time, and I was a 1099 employee at the time, so I was super nervous, didn't know the process. And my realtor at the time, I'm not gonna say he was horrible. Like he was knowledgeable, and he was decently helpful. But I did notice that I was getting treated differently than maybe his other clients were, because I never got, and that sounds petty, but like I never got a closing gift. And not only that, it's like I could tell like I was kind of low on his priority list, because it wasn't a big sale. Like the house I bought was not very expensive. It was not extravagant. And I could see like on his social media and stuff, like, he's treating people who bought bigger houses a little bit differently. So I admire that about you guys.
He didn't give you champagne?
He's Muslim. He wouldn't have given me that.
Okay.
But not even a gift box.
I'll give you a gift card to Cedar's Bakery when you buy next.
Yo, I would take that. That is amazing.
Shout out to the Aussies and Cedar's Bakery, man. They're great people out there.
Absolutely.
And you know what? And I think to double down on that is that this business, something that we were talking about earlier, about how it seems so glamorous, right? That people, when they come in here, or even people who've had some time in this business, they will reject like the lower value ones, right? Where they're not going to make as much money. And the way that I see it, like I've helped probably the lowest one was $60,000, and it was a house. It was a house. I helped somebody get that, and that person has referred me some of my biggest deals.
Yeah.
So
that happens.
I helped them with that $60,000 house, but their family is like well-to-do, and they referred me some of my biggest deals.
Yeah.
So I treat every single one the same way.
Yeah. One of my best referral partners, same thing, is I sold him a house for I think $35,000. Not a house, it was a lot. And we thought that it was connected to 249, which is Westmount Houston. It turns out that there was an easement. You were 10 feet away, and he didn't own those 10 feet to the street. So I was really upset that the seller presented it to us wrong. I told the guy that we could walk away. He went on ahead and bought it. He didn't seem too happy, and I thought I'd never get another referral from him. I would say like easily I get 2-3 referrals every year from him.
Wow.
He had a great position at his job, and he was really happy that I fought for him, got the price reduced, and even gave him the opportunity to walk away when we found out we were being misled on what we were purchasing. So, he bought it. He was unhappy. I thought I was going to lose the client, but he respected me a lot for being transparent and telling, give him the bro, we can walk away, and giving him that understanding, that support. Which I think a lot of agents don't do. I think a lot of agents try to force people to do things that they're uncomfortable with, and I don't. We give them the facts and we let them make their decision.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The most successful realtors that I've dealt with, because I've been dealing with a lot, they all have the same traits. One is that they look at the bigger picture of their actions as opposed to the smaller picture. So like you mentioned, most people would not even look at like a $60,000 sale or like a low end sale, but they don't realize the benefit. Like you mentioned, that you could get all of those referrals off of that. That's a big long-term thing. And so whenever you treat people the right way and you show respect to them, it's memorable. And you don't really have to try that much harder than the average person in any business, just that 10% extra effort goes very far with people. The other trait that they have is that my mom actually recently bought a what's it called, an investment property, and she used a realtor that I didn't know. Like, I had recommended a couple that I've known, and she found one on her own. And the thing that this guy is a rock star. Like, this dude sells all the time, and I see him selling all the time. Young guy. And what she told me stood out to her was that she went to go see one of his listings, and he was automatically like just on the ball, like pointing out, okay, there's this that's wrong with it. This might not be a good fit for you. Let me show you something else. And so he demonstrated knowledge, and like, he wasn't trying to push her onto his listing. And he took her to tour many properties until she found the right one, pointed out all kinds of issues that, keep in mind, my mom is very observant when it comes to like making these kind of purchases. And he was pointing out stuff she didn't even think about or notice, or consider. And I feel like realtors who do go that extra mile, who are selfless and who do, try to provide like the best interest for their clients, and are not trying to seek like the small gain as opposed to like, the bigger picture. Sorry. I feel like those are the realtors who do really well.
What, was her realtor Muslim?
No.
No?
No,
I had that same question.
No, he wasn't. No, he's not.
I've been selling to a lot of Arabic clients, which I think is, or I thought it was strange when I first got my first referral. I just always thought that you guys stick with each other. You'll work with another Muslim and things like that. But
listen, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
it couldn't be further from the truth. We tend to like walk away from each other. we don't like to work together. I
did not know that, but
yeah.
I must have broken into the community in one way or the other, because I've been getting a lot of Arabic referrals from all over the world, and they've been great. They've been a lot of different Muslim clients, a lot of different Arabic clients, a lot of just middle or Eastern Europeans and things like that. So I've been getting some good referrals on just kind of different clients, and I'm always just making the assumption that that I'm either wasting my time or they're just using me because their person is unavailable and they just want to get in right now.
Yeah.
But I handled a property consultation with a Pakistani client, and we had a really, really great conversation. He didn't end up purchasing from me, but this guy has consistently been referring me people. Anything hasn't worked out, but I just appreciate that he's even referring me out.
I don't think Pakistanis Arabic. I thought they
No.
were Indian.
No, I said
Muslim.
They're South Asian, Middle
yeah,
Eastern.
but I said from all over the world. As I'm getting into different like region, I just assume that it'd be more comfortable because with Hispanics,
it's the Asian community that you can't tap into.
I would just think the language barrier in general. Like, if you're speaking a different language, you'd probably feel more comfortable, speaking in your native tongue or whatever you're comfortable with, and the language barrier seems to not be an issue. Like, they're wanting to get treated right. And from my understanding, they don't care where it comes from. It's just the quality of service is what they're after.
Right.
So I have a question. I've seen you. I mean, you're like all over the place, right? With a lot of real estate agents. You say that you're not just putting a camera in somebody's face. You're literally doing scripts, and you're literally doing media, right? You're actually doing marketing, right?
Correct.
Have you had any realtors that don't see the vision? They just want to be on there doing silly stuff, and they're like, "Hey, I'm paying you. You do what I tell you to do."
Not very. I can't think of like a specific one. I remember like vaguely a story where somebody did want to do something that was kind of just like off the wall and kind of strange, and I didn't think it would do anything for them. Ultimately, that person did not like end up going with their idea, and they listened. I think it's just that when people see like the growth, or they see the type of okay, one time I had someone tell me like the realtors that I work with are considered like rock stars, I don't know if I would say that or not. I have a lot of awesome clients, but a lot of them kind of respect, like whenever they see these realtors that I work with, or they see the videos, they see the views, they see the insights, or like even like they hear about the leads. They look, because apparently, I didn't know this until I think my second month in business, but you can go on HAR and look up, people like realtors sales and the performance, it's all public information, easy to look up. But I've had a lot of realtors tell me they see results. And so when they see that, they're more, and I teach classes too, by the way, about branding and marketing for real estate agents. All of these things that I do contribute to like my authority on the field. And so a lot of time people will listen to me. I don't really get a lot of pushback. I'll get, I love working with realtors who themselves are creative. And if they do have a vision, you know, I try to make their vision come true, but I'll try to optimize it to where it is more effective. It is reflecting on their brand.
So I did a horror marketing class, okay, years ago. I'm talking about before, you know, they were using social media, right? And I never forget that the person that taught the class, and actually I have CE credit on my, I can actually look up the year because they gave me credit for it, right? And they were saying that, you know, park your luxury car in the driveway when you're taking the pictures. That will attract attention to the house. That was one of their strategies. I was in writing, okay?
Yeah.
Another thing that they would say is don't take pictures of every single room. Leave some of it to the imagination so that they'll want to book a showing. And what else was there? There was just, I mean, there was just like so many things that is just totally contradictory to what we teach now, or what we know now, or what people want now. You know. And so now I feel like this, right? Because you just said you teach a class, and I'm sure the classes you teach are revolutionary, right? Because you have a marketing background, you come from that type of field, right? And you deal with a lot of people. But you know, I see like these poor brokers that are struggling, right? And they're hiring hard to come teach their class and teach marketing classes and social media classes. I mean, I feel like they're getting the same watered down garbage that I was getting back then.
Yeah.
What kind of marketing ideas or advice have you heard out there that you're like, oh my God, why are they teaching this?
The luxury car thing was one of them. I actually did hear that before. And it's interesting because what I think people, you know, again, real estate and even real estate photography at this point has become glamorized through social media. And it's had a kind of a compound effect, like two different effects, really. Like one, you know, people will be inspired to buy a house. Like, oh, I want to have a nice house with a nice car or whatever, whenever they see these lifestyle type of videos. And then there's like the other one, the dirty side, I would say, where like people are like, oh, realtors are making too much money, and you know they're not, it's not worth paying realtors and stuff. So I see both of these things online, and so I would say, like, you know, I know realtors who tell me like, I don't want to have the exotic car in my video. I don't want to have that, you know, super like expensive clothing on and everything, because I want to be approachable. You know, and I think the biggest advice that I would give, you know, as opposed to like the bad advice you're telling me about, the best advice I give to everybody, even in my classes, is to just be authentic and to be yourself and to identify your unique selling points, or like your unique value proposition. I think you said unique value proposition, because people ultimately connect with people and they buy from people. And if you're not being authentic, if you are just trying to like pose, you know, with the exotic cars, I know people who have like exotic cars that like businesses that rent them out and stuff, and people will be like, hey, can I rent from them for this video? And I'm like, you could, but like, why? You know?
For the clout, baby. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah. You know,
I could tell you something that I hate that marketing people tell agents to do. And I have to stand up to present this one. It's when they make people stand in front of the camera and go like this while they're talking.
First of all,
I've never done that.
First of all, it's not that low, and that is a power pose.
It's a
and
power
they teach
pose.
you that
Yeah,
whenever you're speaking.
Yeah, you look like a big doing it.
Look, I agree with you, because the funny thing is,
Wait, who do you agree with?
I agree with him. I agree with him. How ridiculous that is. I'm sorry.
I agree with them. Yeah.
One of us.
You know why
One
though?
of us.
Why?
Well, he's doing it to me. The reason
What,
is
that's
that
not the sign?
I don't know.
I remember I used to get thrown off. Like one of the number one questions I would get when I would put a realtor in front of a camera was like, "What do I do with my hands?" and I'm like,
Power pose.
don't worry about your hands. Like, if you talk with your hands a lot, let them move, you know, like the way that you naturally would. But if you're trying to do something that if you're trying to do something that you naturally wouldn't do, like it's not authentic. And people are really sensitive subconsciously to authenticity. I see it all the time. Even your body language and stuff. Like if you're not moving authentically, you can tell like, oh, that person's kind of like nervous. Something's off about them. Why are they moving like that? So I always encourage people, like, just be authentic, and really it pays dividends. I've seen it happen.
I know you guys can't see Rami's hands, but that boy's throwing so many karate chops right now.
I'm Middle Eastern, bro. That's what we do.
So Rami, I know you watch our podcast, and I know you've heard me say before that I hate whenever people go online and show off their cars and show off their lifestyle, and then in the same a video say, "Oh, I'm helping people," right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about people that from the photographer's point of view, right? You don't have to name names or anything like that, but how do you feel about people that hire you and they're out there, just doing too much, and then in the same breath claiming that they're helping and they're, look at who I helped and look at what I did and look at me. How do you feel about those things?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to name drop,
Of course not.
but I do know I've seen some realtors where I feel like, so whenever, your social media page should be like a business card almost. Like, it should showcase, like,
Yes.
immediately, like, who you are, what you're about, and give people an impression of you right away, like if they want to work with you or not. And so whenever you make your branding and your posts and everything all about me, here's my accomplishment, here's what I've done, here's what I've done, you're not providing any context or relevance to the audience to where they can relate to you and understand why they should care. If the audience doesn't see a reason to care, it just looks like you're gloating, or you might come off as arrogant and unapproachable. And I've seen a few realtors like that, where that's their whole page is like, look what I did today, here's who I've helped, here's what I've done, and it's like, okay, but why do you think somebody should trust you because you did all that? It just sounds like you're showing off. And yeah, that's where I stand on it.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot, live on air right now. You've seen my social media of videos and everything that I do. What does it, before we met, before we ran into each other, what was I saying to you? Just looking straight at my social media page.
So whenever I first came across your content, I was still trying to learn about real estate as an industry. I've been knowing marketing and branding is very, it transfers across industries, right? But I wanted to understand, like, the finer details, like what are some of the issues that are coming? Like, for example, the whole NAR settlement was something new to me that I never heard of. I didn't know anything about it. So I remember laughing because I was reading your bio, and I'm looking at it right here on your mic, the demotivational coach and all that. It cracked me up. And I was like, this guy is interesting. So I would watch your content. I'd be like, okay, but he's saying a lot of things that some people might perceive as controversial or whatever, but a lot of the stuff you said taught me like a lot of what I know, and I've learned a lot from it.
And what's interesting is that I will get, and I've shown because Vick and Jovani both make fun of me, right? Especially Jovani. They're like, "Why are you saying these things? Why are you doing these things?" And even right now, look, they're texting. They're making fun of me. They're making fun of me right now. I can feel the phone. I'm not even gonna look at it because they throw me off. But I'll literally pull out my phone and I'll show them messages that I'm getting from people. Oh, tell them you're right. Yeah. You should say this. They even try to give me content ideas to say and do. And I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying the things, right? But they will not support me. They will not support me publicly. Neither Jovani won't support me publicly. Vick won't support me publicly. They're just all behind me, kind of like, yeah. Tell him. But they will not support me.
But
man.
you know why? It's a strategy, and I've already told you that.
It's a strategy.
You're not marketing. You're not marketing to me. You're marketing to other people. So
Bro, we're already following you.
Exactly.
Dog.
Yeah. I don't
You already won them over.
Yeah.
Oh man. Nah, I support Nate publicly.
They're roasting me. They're roasting me already now. You see
the group chat.
My man forgot to speak English for a little bit, bro. He's just out here. Oh man, no, it's always a good time. I think I'm pretty talked out here. Do you have anything that you want to know about us? Put us on the spot. Throw something out there that you want to learn.
Do you even know who these guys are?
Nah, do you even know who they are?
I don't. I've been following them forever, man. I know that they're part of Lionsgate, and I see them making things happen. So
let's go.
But something that I would put you guys on the spot for. Okay, let me put you guys on the spot for this. The number one complaint that I hear from realtors across every almost every brokerage. And I've noticed it's kind of funny to me, like just as someone who's relatively new.
Why do they feel comfortable complaining about us to you?
Everyone,
That is crazy.
not complaining
pretty
about you
crazy.
specifically.
Not busy.
But the number one question that I get, or a complaint that I get, is that they don't get enough support. They don't feel like they're getting enough support. They don't feel like they're getting enough knowledge. And one interesting thing that I've heard from I'm not going to name names, but like from one of these bigger brokerages that a lot of people like to clown on. Mm-hmm. But the number one complaint I hear from them is lack of education, and two, from that particular brokerage, that realtor was telling me that one of the biggest issues plaguing this industry is the contracts. Like realtors don't seem to know how to write contracts, read contracts. There's a lot of issues, a lot of mistakes that they have to correct. I guess it's called compliance. I think is what they told me. Yeah, it's compliance. Apparently that's something that they feel that they've learned a lot from their brokerage. So they tell me they wish that other brokerages would teach more about compliance, and as well as just classes in general. I feel like a lot of new realtors, we constantly get flooded with new realtors, and they want some guidance. They want to have regular classes. Is that something that you guys provide or plan to provide? That's me putting you guys on the spot.
That is absolutely something that I provide. And just by you throwing out the compliance word, I'm not going to say what brokerage, but they're why we got sued with their price setting. So they also think they could bully everybody into using a bunch of unnecessary forms that we don't need to use. And I'm not going to use them. And that's not me being compliant or uncompliant. That's just, I don't need that form. It doesn't pertain to this deal. They feel in their hearts of hearts that they need that form because their broker said, and I'm not going to give it to them.
Okay.
So I think I think what they want to know is how to write contracts and how to get a deal done.
Yes.
That's what we need to focus on. As far as them trying to dictate what forms I need to give, I mean, they're not gonna dictate that. But back to our specific brokerage, yes, we pride ourselves on education. We pride ourselves on teaching our agents and literally holding your hand through the process. I mean, for the longest time, I didn't recruit old, experienced agents, or not even old. I just didn't. If you had years in the business, I wasn't interested in hiring you because you already had a lot of bad habits. We were interested in training our own people the way that we do business and the way we want to grow. So yes, we do a lot of training. From A to Z, we're gonna helping you out. The way our team structure is set up like a classroom setting. Mm-hmm. You're never gonna have more people than what a classroom setting can have, than what a teacher can handle, and you'll have a good work-life balance. And as far as training, every Thursday night this year we'll be training from 7 to 8 p.m. and it's open to you guys. I haven't invited the general public, but it's there. We have our company-wide meetings, our weekly huddles, and they'll have daily huddles with their managers and things like that. So we do a lot of deal conversating, we do a lot of training, we do a lot of marketing. I think in real estate, everyone is so worried about the contract. Everyone's so worried about the contract. You can learn everything about the contract, but if you don't learn how to generate leads, you're never going to make money in this business, and you're going to fail. So we start with the marketing, and then as you generate business, then we're training you on the contracts.
The way get to that step first.
The way you learn contracts is by writing them, by writing more, by getting deals to write them. But honestly, the biggest complaint in our company is really man, we can have another training.
Really?
Oh man, dude, you'd be surprised how many new agents come in here and they kill off their grandma, they kill off their, their extended family, they losing a kidney, they're having an emergency. I got a flat tire. I mean, it's like, bro, are you gonna be here or not? You need this training,
Right.
So it's very different here, and we're all about training, teaching, and I'm glad that Vick said all that what he had to say, because I mean, literally, man, I almost brought a tear to my eye, because he's literally. He gets it.
Yeah.
Just like we all should get it. There's only one standard in real estate, right? And that's he who has the best culture and the best mission statement, the best
there we go. Company
and the best people.
There we go.
All right, and I think that's a great place for us to exit off. I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody exit off, and then we'll do Sunbird at the end so you can plug everything in. So I'm Jovani here with the HBR podcast. You can find me on Instagram as Jovani_Frank. Anything that you need on the east side of Houston, real estate related, that's what you can hit me up for.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There you go. I am Victorino Cortez, the president of Lionsgate Realty here. I am expecting a baby soon, and if you're one of those haters that are hoping that I have a daughter, come see me when it's born, because
You're having a girl.
I need to collect some money from you.
My name is Nathan Malderas. I'm the master broker here at Lionsgate Realty. And you can find me in all my social media outlets at Better Call Nate. If you are easily offended, do not subscribe and do not follow.
My name, I don't know how I'm going to follow that up. I'm Rami. I'm with Sunbird Visuals. If you're looking to elevate your real estate media and marketing game, get at me. I'm on Instagram at Sunbird Visuals.
Alrighty, guys. Until next time.